Welcome to Coach Me, the podcast for women who want more. More clarity, more confidence, more you. We're Tanu and Catherine, friends, working moms, businesswomen, and real-life coaching buddies.
Each week, we cut the BS and bring you insights, tools, and truth bombs that help you show up stronger at work, at home, and in life. If we can coach each other through the chaos,
we can coach you too. Welcome back to episode 5 of Coach Me. This week is all about perfectionism and why it is a trap. We'll be talking about the pressure to get it right and to be everything to everyone and how to break free from it. And as always, you guys, make sure you share this episode with the wonder women around you. And if someone sent you this episode, take it as a compliment. They think you are brilliant and probably a little hard on yourself as well. And hey, don't forget to send us your Coach Me questions. If it's on your mind, it probably is on someone else's too, and we'd love to coach you through it. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the win and the WTF of the week. That one win when you chose done over perfect. And that one WTF moment where perfectionism stole your peace. I'll jump right in with mine, if you don't mind. So, the major win this week on the topic of perfectionism and breaking the cycle of perfectionism is AI for me. My new best buddy, ChatGPT, has been doing wonders, breaking that procrastination that sneaks in when you're a perfectionist. Whenever I found myself procrastinating or just not getting on, not gearing into action enough on things that really matter to me, I've been just asking ChatGPT to create schedules. So I have a weekly schedule created. When is my focus time? When is lighter admin time, email time in the day? I've also asked ChatGPT how to add more protein into my meals and to prepare for meetings. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does give me that little bit of starting fuel to get me going without overthinking or having to invest that huge amount of time and research that would bring me into procrastination mode. And that's such a major win in my life, to have a first few steps done and then work off those rather than having that perceived bigger obstacle of having to do it all by myself from the beginning. Obviously, the AI always needs human input, but at least there is a starting point done. On the other hand, my WTF of the week is when things happen that are out of my control. Like anything unforeseen, curveballs, urgent calls, work projects landing on my desk that, I hadn't seen coming when I had that perfectly planned out week, So here again, perfectionism gets that curveball. Technical issues, admin issues, oh my God, this kind of stuff really throws me. And I struggle to get back into this sense of control of my schedule. And I feel that huge pressure and I feel like the day has passed and I haven't moved the needle on anything. I've just been reactive. I get really frustrated. And that again is a cycle in itself where I just feel like that is the perfectionist in me trying to tell me that I failed. But I have discovered that there are 3 things I can do, and I recommend this to my clients as well. The first step is to be gentle with ourselves. We need to just show ourselves a little bit of compassion, and we need to appreciate that even though we didn't manage to do all the things on that never-ending to-do list, we managed to do quite a lot. So where is the pride in the things that we did? The second thing is we have to accept that chaos is part of life. And we all have those days and it's part of the process. And we have to find a little bit of joy and relief as well in living a little and not just having that rigid schedule of getting things done. And thirdly, if pressed on time, just do the 60 to 80% of the most important things or do it to 60 to 80% completion and release it. Just prioritize the actions that drive most impact or are most urgent. We need to sometimes just be good with that. Tanu, Do you feel me? Do you have those issues too?
Oh my God. I can totally relate to those. No, seriously, like word to word with what you said. So, my win lately has been getting consistent with talking to camera. And it's not just about 1 week, honestly. It's been something that I have been struggling with a little bit because I want it to be perfect. And the old me would have spent hours fixing the lighting and overthinking every word and re recording until it was just right. But now I just hit record, speak from the heart, and hit post. So, not worrying about any fancy angles or waiting for the golden hour or perfect script. It's not flawless, but it's real, and people connect with that. That's what I'm noticing. So, yeah, my win is really realizing that authenticity over aesthetics every single time. And honestly, it feels good to get out of my own way. And my WTF, oh, so I am in the process of starting to write a book. And it's the third time that I changed the angle of the book and I created a whole new framework. So I'm still working on the blueprint of it. And every time I think I've nailed it, the perfectionist in me whispers, well, is it clear enough? Is it smart enough? Is it original enough? Has this been done before? Are people going to be interested? So, yeah, that voice is never satisfied. And instead of making progress, I keep reworking the blueprint. So now I'm reminding myself messy action over mental gymnastics, because books aren't perfect, they evolve. And obviously, I cannot edit what I haven't written. So, if I keep going this way, I'll finish my book in maybe 2042 with about 49 blueprints. So that's my WTF for sure.
I mean, I want to read all those 49 blueprints. I'm sure there are so many lessons in there and so many angles that are relatable. And also, your imperfect, your out of your comfort zone imperfect is probably still pretty perfect to 99% of humanity. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I know it's easier
Ooh.
said than done.
Ah, I like how you said that. Great reframe right there. Thank you.
Anytime.
On that note, we're clearly not alone in this perfectionism spiral. Kathy, shocking, right? One listener messaged us and said, I spend so much time editing and reworking things I never actually finish. Can you coach me, please? And honestly, that's the paradox of perfectionism. It feels like we're doing the work, but really, we're just stuck in the performance of productivity. So let's talk about what's actually going on here and how to break free from that loop. Kathy, I know this used to be your Achilles heel too. How did you solve for it? Do you have any advice to coach her through this?
Oh my God, bang on. This used to be a big issue for me. No progress due to that constant rework or overthinking. And I think a lot of our listeners will know this very familiar perfectionism trap too, right? As a working single mom, I ended up with lots of unfinished work and even more frustration over being unable to finish pretty much anything. I knew I had to shift my approach and my mindset as well. I could not carry on with that spiral. So now, what I explain to the women I work with, and this is hopefully giving our question asker and our listeners some clarity too, is that on one side, there is a healthy way of having good standards and wanting to deliver those good results, at work and elsewhere. But there is a line that can be crossed. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So there's that healthy striving, having a clear goal in mind, or just knowing when something is done enough. Feedback is well received, doesn't really feel threatening, but like something you want to hear, where progress is consistent, where you don't feel like you're treading water, you just feel like you're plowing through, you're inching forward. That is healthy. But when it gets unhealthy in that perfectionism zone, then some behaviors that we start showing are like these tendencies to delay hitting the send button on that email because you feel like it's not quite right yet, or where you tweak things to avoid judgment or to protect your image, or where your fear of being criticized or your fear of failing trumps the momentum you're creating. And when you actually, at the end of the day, feel more exhausted than being proud of all the things that you've achieved and done. So, what's really going on underneath the surface when we are having these perfectionist tendencies is that we're just worried about the external perception of us. We are scared to be seen as not good enough, imposter syndrome, people please. And we feel like our self-worth gets attached to that output. Any sort of avoidance, like if we avoid to finish something because we're worried to be judged, that is when we have that little gremlin at work, when we have that inner voice, that inner critic who tells us that there's something wrong, that we need to be scared about something, or that we're not good enough. And my advice to the women I work with, but also to myself, is that we need to remind ourselves that progress beats perfection every single time. Your impact won't come from flawless slides or perfect emails. It comes from showing up consistently, courageously, authentically, and with a little bit of self-compassion as well. Later in this episode, Tanu and I, we will share a few of our absolute go-to tools that really work for us and our clients. And they surely will also come in handy for you guys. So please stay till the end. But Tanu, first, do you want to add your thoughts? I know this is your special area, on that inner critic, on that gremlin. What's your take on this?
Yes. This is textbook inner critic territory. What a lot of people don't realize is that perfectionism isn't just a personality quirk. It's often a coping mechanism rooted in fear and shame. Psychologically speaking, our brains are wired for belonging and safety. So when our reputation feels at stake, the amygdala, the part of the brain that's responsible for detecting threat, it can't really tell the difference between social risk and actual danger. So you go into this perfectionist spiral. Do you know Dr. Brene Brown, right? There's research by her and some others as well that shows that perfectionism is not about high standards. It's about trying to earn approval and avoid shame. So it's like self-protection that's dressed up as excellence. And when our self-worth is wrapped up in how we are perceived, we start editing ourselves, not just our work. We become risk-averse, over-rehearsed, and ultimately less impactful. So yes, perfectionism often is your gremlin in disguise, trying to keep you safe but shrinking you in the process. And the irony is, the more we polish our image, the less people actually get to see us, like me with my social media and speaking to the camera problem.
And I just want to repeat it. Your not 100% polished still is our normal humans super polished. We sometimes are just too hard on ourselves, right? Oh, well.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the quote of the week, which is very apt to this topic. Winston Churchill said it, and I can only repeat it. Perfection is the enemy of progress. I think that's a quote that really stands out when we talk about perfectionism as a topic, as a problem, as a trap, as an ambitious woman's problem. We don't go anywhere with perfectionism. And I'm just reading this book by Edith Eger called The Gift. I just want to read it out to you because it is huge. She said, if you're perfectionistic, you're going to procrastinate because perfect means never. If you are a perfectionist, you're competing with God and you're human. You're going to make mistakes. Don't try to beat God because God will always win. It doesn't take courage to strive for perfection. It takes courage to be average, to say, I'm okay with me. Good enough is good enough. Tanu, actually, we started the quote of the week off with Winston Churchill saying perfection is the enemy of progress. But after what we just discussed, I really want to rephrase or maybe change in the context of our audience and us as working moms. I want to say perfectionism is the enemy of self-love. It's not just the enemy of progress. Sure, in a working context, it is. But perfectionism in the context of being a working mom, trying to do everything, trying to be everything for everyone, I think perfectionism is the enemy of self-love. Because I truly believe if we love ourselves a little bit more, if we listen to our instincts a little bit more, if we listen to ourselves a little bit more, we don't have to strive for perfectionism so much. We would be okay with critiques from external sources, with feedback that doesn't agree with us, with people who judge us or laugh about us, maybe even. If we'd love ourselves a little bit more, then I don't think we would have to be so perfectionistic. Is that even a word? But it is now. So, Tanu, what do you think? What is your take on this?
That is so profound. I didn't think of it like that. Like
I
comparing with
know.
God. That's so true.
It is crazy. And perfect means never.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. That hits different.
That is,
Thank you.
yeah, whole different level.
Yeah. And like perfectionism tricks us into thinking that if something isn't flawless, it's not worth sharing or doing. But if you think of it, who are you sharing it with? With imperfect people. So who's to decide what's perfect and what's not? My definition of perfect is different from your definition of perfect. Someone that's receiving my message, their definition of perfect is different. So, yeah, I see this in my own journey as well. And I have to remind myself that progress means embracing the discomfort of imperfection and trusting that in each step, even if it's a messy one, you're getting closer to your goal. And that's the most important thing.
100%. I love that. I think we need to embrace imperfectionism a little bit more. Being imperfect is the new sexy. That's what I said on my last podcast.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Take a note, people.
Being imperfect is the new sexy. Ladies, you heard it here first. All right. Now we move into our final segment. We promise you a few tools to beat perfectionism. And here they are. Tanu and I will each give you 2 tools, really easy, really quick ones, that will help you to break the perfectionism cycle. They're little mindset shifts to avoid over polishing and instead moving the needle again. The 2 tools that I use and that I recommend to all the women I work with are super simple. One is the 60% rule. Some refer to it as the 80% rule. I'm just lowering the barrier a little bit. I'm saying 60% is just fine. When your work is just 60% ready, treat it as done, unless someone needs more. Most of the time, what you've done is more than enough. Imperfect action always beats perfect inaction. So it's better to send out that email, to finish that project, to present that PowerPoint or whatever it is at 60 to 80% done. You will never reach that 100%, or it will just take up so much time and energy that it will lead to so much frustration and stress that it's just not worth it. So learn to be happy with 60 to 80% done. And the other tool I want to introduce to our audience is time boxing. You can time box anything, whether it's editing an email or a presentation or something, or whether it's housework or decoration, preparation, whatever it is. If you time box it, you will be more efficient due to the urgency that you're creating. And whether that is like a real urgency, like you only have 15 minutes now until you have to pop out or until that meeting starts, or whether that is an artificial time box where you say, okay, I'll give myself 30 minutes now to just get through my inbox and I'll do as many emails as I can in 30 minutes, but then I'll just stop. You will get so much done because that urgency and that prioritizing will make you focus so much better. So try it. These are my absolute go-tos. And Tanu, what are yours?
Yeah, so my actual go-to that has worked really, really well for me and some of my clients is practicing imperfection exposure out loud. So if you intentionally share a flawed piece of work or a piece of work that you think is not ready yet and put it out there, whether it's on social media or it's, sharing with your colleague or anyone that's not very close to you that could give you some feedback or you could get some feedback from, you would be surprised at how different your own perception of your work is compared to when you share it with someone else. So most times the fear judgment doesn't show up or is far less harsh than what you think. One example is when I am looking at my own content that I share, I am so judgmental. And when I share it with other people, I often have people come back to me or send me DMs or share whenever I meet them saying, oh my God, we love what you share. It's so helpful. Oh, your newsletter really hit home this time. And then I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, how many times did I think this is not going to land with anyone or this is not going to help anyone? So just practice that exposure and see what you get as feedback. And if it is actually going against your own self judgment of that piece. The second one is reframing perfection as your inner critic's language. Your inner critic or gremlin, when you catch yourself wanting to tweak endlessly, just ask yourself, what is my gremlin really afraid of here? Naming that underlying fear helps you step back and address it directly instead of masking it with polish. So sometimes you're afraid that it's not going to be received well. So a comedian that's writing jokes and constantly polishing it, their biggest fear is it's not going to get a laugh, right? So what's the reaction that you're expecting? And we often tend to get stuck in that future reaction that we expect out of our audience. And if we don't get that in our head, we keep thinking, let me make it a little bit better. So catch that fear, where that's coming from, and name that fear, and then reframe it. So one way to do that is if it's saying to you, I'm not ready, you say, I'm not ready yet, but it's ready enough for me to share and get some initial reactions. So the essence of all of this is that imperfect action always beats perfect inaction. So what are you waiting for? And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us on Coach Me. Got a question or something you want us to coach through? Slide into our DMs or drop us a message. We might feature it on the next episode.
And hey, don't forget to hit follow. Your future self will thank you. Just one more quick note. Everything we share here is based on our own experiences and coaching tools. It's not medical or mental health advice. So if you're struggling or need support, please reach out to a qualified professional. You've got this and we've got you. See you next time on Coach Me. That's it.